Hey guys, it's Rishabh from Lost Stories, and I'm here to break down the project that we did for Coke Studio, our remix for Blockbuster. So let's get right into it. Funny story, we were having a meeting at my house, and it was me, Prayag, and Shatrughan, and we're just planning a month out. Prayag gets a call from Warner during that meeting, and after the call, he asked me, "Hey, do you want to remix a song from Coke Studio?" I was like, "Obviously, what song is it?" I thought maybe it's from the past catalog. And he's like, "No, it's not out yet. It's called Blockbuster." And there's something about that name that, I don't know, it gave me goosebumps. And I'm not even kidding. This is not for show. This is not for the camera. There was something about that name Blockbuster that felt right and had some sort of a visualization like Coke Studio Blockbuster Lost Stories remix. And I was like, let's do it. I think the sound selection falls into the whole two-step garage and like a lot of 2000s Punjabi MC, Shamoor, even a lot of Ganesh Hegde, if you heard Mehdiwana. There's a lot of that kind of influence in this remix. We made sure that some of the drum samples and even some of the synth samples were ironically cheap sounding. And even some of the ad-libs, we intentionally made them sound slightly cheap to give it that Y2K, UKG feel. And that's how I feel bringing all of that together super meticulously is what gave this remix the sound that it has. Given the amount of time I spend on reels these days, inspiration came rather quickly. There was some boiler room set that came up and someone was playing like a sick UKG set. And yeah, I just started vibing to it. And very subconsciously, the vocal from Blockbuster and this beat just started mashing up in my head. So I was like, why not? So we took the vocal, put it up to 130 BPM. I think it was 134, but we got it down to like 128. And this is what the vocal sounded like on 128. Sounded good so far. Quickly pulled up my SP404 and loaded a garage kit. And I was like, okay, let's jam. We don't do this enough. We don't get to play in the studio because everything is drawn and everything is placed. So we're like, let's play and just start the vocal like this. And came up with a garage section. And I think that was the start. That was the start of the remix for us. So this is what the project file looks like. This is the final mix and master project with some additional production added at the last minute to enhance the song. If you notice, this is a very well organized project, which is very rare for us. The way the stems came in was really inspiring. Look at that. That's like every engineer's wet dream. Speaking of engineers and wet dreams, another reason why this project looks so well organized is because of Mukul, who helped mix and master this project. He is a neat freak and he likes things very organized. So conceptually, this is a very simple remix. Arrangement wise, you have your intro, verse, build up, and drop, with a post drop section with darker chords. Sound selection wise, it's very meticulously built around the whole Southeast Asian inspired UKG and two step garage. So you'll hear a lot of garage bass, kick rolls, 909 rolls, kick scratches, and backspins. We also try to infuse the old school Lost Stories sound by adding darker chords and trancey elements. Starting with the intro, we have a synth that starts off very mono and lo-fi. Along with a baby sample that we have cut from the main vocals. About the mono synth, we do this because when the main part of the song hits, we can really open up the element's stereo field along with the filters cut off to make it sound grand. And to make the drop sound bigger, we also cut the stereo width from the build up. The next element that we added is the sample that we found during a very early stage of this remix. It was literally the third or the fourth thing that we added, thinking we'll replace it later, but it kind of just stayed. We would have guilted over using a full sample like this back in the day, but these days we don't really care. Talented producers make these samples for use, sometimes creatively, sometimes right out of the box. It's up to you. Following that, the female vocal plays out fully along with a Reese bass to provide some low mid goodness to the song. ਵੇ ਕੁੜਤਾ ਲਿਆਈਆਂ ਮੈਂ ਲੁਧਿਆਣਿਓਂ ਮੈਂ ਸੁਣਿਆ ਸੀ ਕਹਾਣੀਆਂ ਵੇ ਮਰ ਜਾਣਿਆ. All that while the synth from the intro opens up sonically and the arpeggio builds up. ਵੇ ਕੁੜਤਾ ਲਿਆਈਆਂ ਮੈਂ ਲੁਧਿਆਣਿਓਂ ਮੈਂ ਸੁਣਿਆ ਸੀ ਕਹਾਣੀਆਂ ਵੇ ਮਰ ਜਾਣਿਆ. ਵੇ ਬੇਬੀ ਰਕਸ਼ਾ ਮੈਂ ਕਰਾ ਲਿਆ ਮੈਂ ਤੇਰੇ ਵੱਲੇ ਆ ਰਿਆਂ. The build-up is super simple with a 909 snare roll, a kick roll, and some other build-up elements. Moving into the first drop, the leading hook is like this call and response, sort of like a pocket war between these three elements. The first is a baby sample that we heard in the intro. We chopped off the word baby from the original vocal and put a delay on it, followed by the tumbi from the original song and Umair's vocal chops. Umair's vocal chops were a super last minute addition thanks to a suggestion by Yashraj. As you can hear, these three elements form a catchy trifecta of a hook that's not too in your face but still contributes massively to the groove. Moving on to the drum section, you can hear the garage drum elements including the kick, snare, rim shot and the hi-hats. Each new section is marked by a brief crash, scratch, and a backspin sample at the beginning and the end, respectively. Mukul and I went crazy trying to get the kick drum to sound right. There's a lot of processing on it. This is what it sounds without the processing. And this is what it sounds with the processing. After the drums, the bass line is a simple 808 with notes following the main chord structure. We added a few slides to make it work with the groove. We could also apply a special sauce to each note by breaking down the sample note by note. It's really handy when you want all your bass notes to stand out on their own. Additionally, the groove is further enhanced by other elements, such as the gated synth. That is the same synth from the verse. Its gate is controlled by a rhythm of a hi-hat. This effect can be replicated by using a gate plugin on a sound. And employing a short sample like a hi-hat or a transient as a sidechain input to achieve a similar outcome. Sounds something like this. All these elements and a few other enhancements make up the first drop and the second drop. The second drop does have a few additional drum elements, but overall they're very similar. The post-drop section maintains the drum pattern from the drop, but introduces a darker chord progression, new bass lines, and altered vocal effects. The introduction of the major fifth in this section makes it sound much darker, which is kind of non-existent in the original version. but it also strongly leads back to the tonic. We secretly like to add a pinch of sadness and melancholy to our chord progressions and surprise the listener, and we love doing that. Some of the elements we really love in this section include this choppy vocal build-up, which we created by cutting a section from the main vocal in a 1 by 16th repetition, adding some swing, and then washing it down with some reverb. Another highlight is this flute, a nod to Ganesh Hegde's Main Deewana. That song is one of the greatest pop songs ever made, and the flute in it still gives us goosebumps. We kind of wanted to pay a tribute to that, so we added this flute element. The sub drops in this section are heavily inspired by the two step garage style. They originate from one of my favorites synths, the microcog, known for its incredible garage and drum and bass sounds, often used by a lot of pros. Both the bass lines are from the microcog and they really complement this section well. The second verse and the build up are pretty minimal, with the main focus being on the synths that are gradually intensifying under the original vocals. You've got all the essential build-up elements, a tape delay with a wild feedback, risers, reverbs that makes it sound like everything's in a giant toilet, and a headache-inducing snare roll. But it's not all that bad because it's being followed up by one of my favorite sections in the song, the harmonium drop. These two parts are just pure play. We're just essentially fucking around in this section. The harmonium sound is following the vocal melody. It's an Ableton track made by us by putting together two accordion samples with a typewriter sound to make it sound like an actual harmonium recording. It's played inaccurately on purpose. The rhythm section is intentionally cut off to let the vocals and the harmonium take the center stage. All these breaks make the second drop more focused, energetic, and fluid. It's all about providing that contrast. The second drop mirrors the first, but with the added elements like dolak, percussions, hype vocals, ad-libs that we stole from Yashraj's Gabbar track, from his new EP, which was also produced by us under our new alias, Puna, and some extra touches like these synths. Speaking of Yashraj, I think he brought a fresh perspective to this remix. The ad-libs, the vocal chops, and even experimenting with the rap section in the outro overall helped elevate the vibe of this track. So shout out to Yashraj. I think it's pretty unorthodox to put one of the main parts of the song, that is the Faris rap, in the outro, but I guess we did it anyway, and it ended up being one of our favorite sections. The Sarangi perfectly complements the rap and the groove. ਮੇਰੇ ਯਾਰ ਬੇਲੀ ਗਿਫਟ ਮੁਹੱਬਤਾਂ ਦੇ ਲਾਇਆ ਤਿਆਰੀਆਂ ਨਾਲ ਆਇਆ ਕਲੀਅਰਲੀ ਨੀਅਤਾਂ ਦੇ ਸੁੱਤ ਨਾ ਲਵੇ ਟੈਨਸ਼ਨ ਕਦੇ ਬੇਰਲੀ ਸ਼ੋਰਲੀ ਕੇਅਰਫ੍ਰੀ ਇੱਕ ਦੂਜੇ ਦੇ ਸਹਾਰੇ ਆਪਾਂ ਸਾਰੇ ਤੇ ਮੁਬਾਰਕ Mukul and I took our sweet time with the mix and master since this was an uncharted genre for both of us. We needed to make sure that every element sounded authentic to the genre. The bus processing on all the buses ensured that we got maximum loudness out of this song. The master chain is pretty straightforward. We are doing some master bus compression with the C2, clipping it heavily, and finishing with the God Particles limiter. We didn't use any enhancement from the plugin since Mukul had already handled that in the mix. All in all, this is a very straightforward dance record that gets the job done on the floor. I think the best moment for us was when the remix got approved because honestly, we were not expecting it. It's very far removed from the typical Lost Stories sound, and it's also not very commercial. So we were really scared whether they'll approve this or no, but I think they got back saying that this is exactly what they were looking for. And in fact, they just did not approve it simply. In fact, they sent a video of them dancing to it. So that kind of blew our minds that, okay, we are on the right track. Now let's just go ahead and finish this. So yeah, that was the best moment for us watching the entire team dance to a demo of our remix. So yeah, I mean, hands down, one of the best moments this year. Last but not the least, big love to the entire team at Coke Studio, Giraffe, Warner, and Represent. Everyone working on this remix made sure that the entire process was a breeze. Big love to Zulfi Bhai and Sherry for making sure that we broke all the rules and delivered something that was outside of our comfort zone. And we are just so happy to be a very small part of this blockbuster of a song. So thank you for tuning in and keep streaming.